Have you ever wondered where the names of US states come from? Like, why is a state called New York when the original York is, way over there across the Atlantic? It turns out that behind each of those names is a story, a connection to history, a people, or even just a really good story. Today we're diving into the fascinating origins of 5 state names, exploring the how and the why behind what we call the places we call home. From Native American languages to European monarchs, we'll unearth the historical nuggets that stuck, the names that became part of the American landscape. So buckle up, grab your metaphorical shovels, because we're about to unearth some serious linguistic history. First stop on our cross-country etymology adventure, Massachusetts. Now I'm not gonna lie, Massachusetts isn't exactly the easiest state name to say. Seriously, try saying it 5 times fast. But behind this mouthful of a name is a story rooted in the language of the people who called this land home long before any European settlers arrived. The name Massachusetts comes from the Massachusetts tribe, an Algonquian-speaking people who lived in the region. See, we're already learning, and it's only the first state. The Algonquian languages were spoken by a diverse group of Native American tribes across a vast swathe of North America. The Massachusetts people's name, which they used to refer to themselves and their territory, translates roughly to "at the large hill" or "at the great hill place." Scholars believe this refers to the Blue Hills, a range of hills south of modern-day Boston. So, Massachusetts isn't just a random collection of syllables, it's a reminder that long before European colonization, indigenous peoples thrived here, and their languages and stories are woven into the very fabric of our nation, even in the names of our states. Next up, we're hopping over to the East Coast to tackle the Empire State, New York. Now you might be thinking, okay, that one's obvious, right? It's New York because it was named after York in England, and you wouldn't be wrong. But there's a bit more to it than that. The story of New York's name begins in the 17th century with, you guessed it, the English. In 1664, good old England decided it wanted a piece of the New World pie, so they sent a fleet of warships to seize control of New Netherland, a Dutch colony that had the audacity to exist in the place they decided they wanted. Leading this not-so-subtle takeover was the Duke of York, a fellow by the name of James. And guess what happened? The English were victorious, surprise, surprise, and promptly renamed New Netherland after their conquering hero, the Duke of York. But here's where it gets interesting. Remember how I said the Duke of York's name was James? Well, this James went on to become King James II of England. So, New York was named after a guy who became king. Talk about a glow-up for a state name. And that, my friends, is how a little piece of England ended up with a starring role on the map of America. Okay, get ready to head west because our next state name takes us to the Golden State, California. And let me tell you, California's name comes with a story that's equal parts history and, dare I say, pure fiction. You see, long before California was known for Hollywood and surfing, it was a land shrouded in mystery and myth. Back in the 16th century, European explorers had this idea that somewhere out there in the Pacific Ocean lay a magical island paradise. This wasn't just some random daydream. This mythical land was actually described in a popular Spanish romance novel called Las Sergas de Esplandian, The Adventures of Esplandian, written by Garci Rodriguez de Montalvo. In the novel, this island paradise was called California, a name that just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Now, whether Montalvo based California on any real place is still up for debate. Some historians believe he drew inspiration from tales told by Spanish explorers who had sailed the Pacific. Others think he just made the whole thing up. Either way, California, the mythical island, captured the imaginations of Europeans. Fast forward to the 16th century, Spanish explorers led by the one and only Hernán Cortés landed on the Baja California Peninsula, which is today part of Mexico. They were convinced they'd found the legendary island of California. Spoiler alert, they hadn't. But the name stuck, eventually expanding to encompass the entire region we now know as California. So next time you're soaking up the California sunshine, remember, you're standing on land named after a fictional paradise. Alright, let's head back east, this time to a state steeped in history, Virginia. And when I say history, I mean history that goes way, way back. Virginia's story begins in the late 16th century with a little someone you might have heard of, Queen Elizabeth I of England, also known as the Virgin Queen. Now Elizabeth was known for many things, her sharp wit, her fiery red hair, and her unwavering determination to rule England her own way. She never married, earning her the moniker Virgin Queen, and her reign marked a period of great change and expansion for England. So, when English explorers ventured across the Atlantic and stumbled upon a vast new land, they knew just the person to honor. They named the territory Virginia in tribute to their beloved, and let's be real, very single queen. The name stuck, and Virginia became one of the first English colonies in North America. Now, Virginia wasn't the only place named after Queen Elizabeth I. You'll also find islands, cities, and even a whole other country, looking at you, Guyana, named in her honor. But there's something special about Virginia, a state that played such a pivotal role in the birth of America, bearing the name of a queen who ruled an ocean away. Last but not least, we mosey on down south to the Lone Star State, Texas. And trust me, Texas wouldn't be Texas without a name that's as big and bold as the state itself. But you might be surprised to learn that the name Texas actually predates European arrival in North America. It all started with the Caddo people, a Native American group who lived in what is now East Texas. The Caddo word for friends or allies was Tejas or Tasha, depending on the dialect. Now, the Caddo people were known for their diplomacy and their vast trading networks. They interacted with other Native American groups and eventually with those European explorers who showed up on their shores. Spanish explorers, upon hearing the Caddo word Tejas, adopted it, transforming it into Texas. But here's the thing, the Spanish didn't just use Texas to refer to the Caddo people. They used it to describe the entire region where the Caddo and their allies lived. Over time, Texas evolved from a simple word meaning friends into a name that represented a vast and diverse territory. It became a symbol of independence, of frontier spirit, of everything we associate with Texas today. So the next time you hear someone say Texas, remember, it's not just a name. It's a legacy of friendship, a testament to the power of language, and a reminder that even in the heart of Texas, history speaks in whispers, if you know how to listen. And there you have it, the intriguing stories behind the names of 5 U.S. states. From the Algonquian roots of Massachusetts to the Spanish romance of California, each name is a little window into the past. It's like each state carries a little name tag with a whole story scribbled on the back, a story about the people who lived there, the explorers who stumbled upon it, or maybe even just a really good book that caught someone's imagination. Which state's name origin surprised you the most? Was it Massachusetts' connection to the Massachusetts tribe, or maybe California's fictional beginnings? Let us know in the comments below. And hey, maybe this will inspire you to dig a little deeper into the history behind your own state's name. You never know what fascinating stories you might uncover.